Hey guys, welcome back to the Alamodome Audible podcast. It's episode 181 after a brief spring summer time off away from the pod. This is Jared and I'm back with Adrian. Adrian, first of all, congratulations on your wedding. Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
I hope the listeners didn't mind the time off a little because it was good for me to reset a little bit, as I'm sure it was for you.
Yes, indeed. Well, resetting, not so much for me, at least. There's a whole bunch of everything going on between the wedding and the honeymoon. But yes, pardon the brief hiatus, but we are back in action, full swing, just in time for summer to kick off for everybody. And yes, thank you so very much, sir. Not just for the congratulations, but being the maestro, the conductor of ceremonies, master of ceremonies. For those that didn't know, I did have the pleasure of being married by, the honor of being married by the GOAT host, Jared Kalmus. Just fantastic. Underneath the Romanesque columns of the gardens at West Green in San Antonio in his navy blue suit. And there was a fantastic few minutes where it was me and my man's standing at the altar right there, looking fresh to death. And he did just an absolutely wonderful job conducting that thing. Everybody spoke very, very highly of you, especially Gloria, my mother. And
That's what matters.
You crushed it. And everything was fantastic. Threw in a couple of liners on the fly, reacting in real time to the situation that was occurring. It was wonderful. And ceremony was absolutely perfect. Reception was absolutely perfect. It was a fantastic evening, a jubilant evening of celebration, of partying, making toasts, dancing, being with everybody. And I just, I could rewind that night a million times over. It was just an absolute freaking blast, man. But thank you so very much for taking care of us up there.
Absolutely. It was a huge honor. It was an honor that honestly I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. So just want to thank you again for the opportunity. And, I'm glad that I didn't totally bomb up there, because the day before I really thought I was, because I didn't get to practice as much as I would have liked to, because I was traveling for work. So yeah, it was a little bit stressful for me, but I'm glad it all pulled through. And, I'm glad I could work in a couple of references to the alma mater and to
yes, sir.
ceremony. I thought that was pretty slick.
Yes, sir. Well, we were right down the street from the alma mater, just a couple of miles away. So it was very much appropriate. And I'm glad, because a little bit too much practice gets it a little too scripted. It was very natural, my friend. And that's what made it so great. And for those of you listening, for our loyal fans, both Jared and I, both hosts of the Alamodome Audible, are in fact ordained ministers. So if you do need someone to conduct your holy matrimony or friends, there's two fantastic ministers right here at Alamodome Audible. We're actually going to branch off and start a whole entire
that's our new Patreon supporter tier. If you donate $69 a month, 2 card carrying members of the Universal Life Church.
Yes.
Will be available at your disposal.
That's right. Absolutely, for any and every. So take note on that. And man, dude, it was great. I think everyone had a pretty dang good time at the wedding and the subsequent reception, man. It was,
absolutely. I know I told you this already, but my favorite part of the wedding was how unique it was, because you guys did an amazing job of like fusing like your Cuban heritage with your wife's Mexican heritage. And also, having that, just American feel, like we had want to be a baller, right? So just kind of melting all those different cultures together. The UTSA influence was cool, man. It was a very unique experience. I go to a lot of weddings, right? And they really start to feel pretty samey to me. And people play it safe with their weddings, and it can be a little generic, but like having your dad, playing the bongos and singing, man, that was so cool. having the Cuban cigars out there. It was a blast, man. Definitely
Big
a night
hit.
I will not soon forget.
Big hit. Yes. No easy task welding the two Latin American cultures. Never is. Anytime you pick two different Latin American cultures, there's always going to be a world of differences, right? And so I do think we did a good job. I'm glad you noticed that, because a lot of effort did go into trying to make sure the balance was done correctly. And yeah, I mean, Pops absolutely killed it out there on the ones and twos. It was a great set. I think everybody enjoyed it. Definitely got everybody up on the dance floor, moving and grooving. The cigars were absolutely delicious. Fantastic, killer. There's a really, really mean photo of everybody that was on the cigar patio, all exhaling at the same time. And I think like the photographer, she kind of got it all coordinated right. She was like, right, everybody exhale at the same time. And she snapped a picture and she looked at it. She goes, whoa, I feel intimidated.
And that's so funny, because I was standing there as we were taking that picture and I'm like, there's no way any of the smoke is going to show up in nighttime with a flash on a camera. And then you showed me the photo. I was like, damn, that is hard.
Dude, it's legit. It looks so legit, bro. Oh my gosh. It's hard as nails, man. And I absolutely loved it. And then my boy Gweens brought me the all white Astros fitted cap in the middle of the reception. And so I was able to have my iconic 5950 to the back through the reception, matching the all white suit. So that was a super killer touch. Caught me by surprise with that one. That was awesome.
Dude, I do not believe that was not planned. Like, that was just too perfect. That was peak Adrian. There's no way that you guys didn't plan that. I'm not buying it at all.
He was asking me, like, what's one thing that represents you really well? Because I want to get you a good wedding present. And I asked Clarissa, I was like, what's one good thing? And she was like, your backwards hat. And I was like, oh, good call. And I told him it was like a backwards hat. And he was like, of course. And he was like, well, which one do you need? I was like, man, I really need a new blue one with the gold star, man. Like, mine's starting to fade out and I kind of need a fresh one of those. And he was like, Roger that. And like the 2 days before the wedding, I ran around to a few Houston area shopping malls trying to find the all white 5950. I was going to obtain that on my own, and I was going to bust it out mid reception just on my own. And I hadn't really told Clarissa or anybody anything about it. And then like on the way to San Antonio, I told her, I was like, man, I was running around yesterday trying to find this all white new era, but I just couldn't find the right size with the right fit. I just couldn't find it. And she's like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way you were going to wear a friggin' backwards hat at our reception for our wedding. I was like, I know, I was totally going to do it. And somehow or another, she ended up talking to my boy and was like, hey, you need to get him the all white one. And so sure enough, like, he's like, dude, I got something for you. I got to go get it. I got to bring it out. And I was like, okay, just wait till the speeches are done or whatever. I didn't know what he was talking about. Sure enough, it was the freaking new era, man. I couldn't believe it. That thing is perfect. And surprisingly so, it's still pretty stark white after that night of debauchery. Maybe like one or two little, not scuffs, but little marks on it. I think they can be taken out. But for the most part, thing is still pretty fresh, dude. So happy with that. I don't know if it'll ever get pulled back out, but
you might have to keep that one on the shelf. That's a memorable item for sure. for sure. But yeah, it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. And
how about the honeymoon?
Oh man, cannot say enough about how fantastic, how gorgeous of a country Costa Rica is, and how much we enjoyed every single last second of that trip. I could talk about it probably for the whole duration of this podcast, but I'll keep it short with one story. So, of course,
I know how these Adrian stories can go. I don't know if we can keep it short. You won't put another timer on?
So I did rent a car, right? In true Adrian fashion, we had to cover as many square miles of Costa Rica as humanly possible, which we did. We made our ways from the volcanic rainforests all the way to the Pacific coast, and then from the Pacific coast all the way to the Caribbean side. So when I tell you coast to coast in Costa Rica, we went across the entire freaking country. Well, you have to get a 4x4 out there because there's some gravel roads, there's some off the beaten path treks you got to make. And, I was looking for like the local, watering holes and stuff that like no one knew about, trying to find the secret spots or whatever, which we had some successes and some failures in finding these secret spots. One, we tried to hike a good hour, 2 hours to, never found it, never found this hidden waterfall. Another one was like a secret pool, all blue part of the river. We did find that. We found it very, very easily and went swimming. It was really cool. But there were two occasions, Jared, where our rental car did not fire up, did not start. Thankfully, neither of them were in the Costa Rican wilderness. Both were like the hotel parking lots. And so, of course, though, it was both like when we were on the move from one place to another. So one morning, pack up everything on the Pacific coast, and we're kind of hopping from town to town down the Pacific coastline going south, and click, 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 thing doesn't start after it's been parked at the hotel for like 2 days. Our jumper cables are too corroded to actually charge the battery. So like hotel guy has to like bring his hoopty up, and then he's got jumper cables that he has to bring out after ours aren't working. And then sure enough, the thing clicks, starts up. Awesome. So then we get to Tamarindo, which is like the big tourist town. The only tourist anything that we did was in Tamarindo. We were there for 2 nights. Doesn't really have any of the Costa Rican culture. I mean, hell, the sign says "Welcome to Tamarindo." It does not say "Bienvenidos."
Pura Vida.
Everything's in English there. You can definitely tell by the demographic, but it's a good time. You get to do some bougie stuff and whatnot. Stay at a nice resort, and then we're going from Tamarindo all the way to the Caribbean coast, which is like a 10-hour drive. And, I was going to space it out, make a couple pit stops along the way, walk around, have some food, jump in the hot springs. Well, that morning, of course, I want to leave Tamarindo at 5 a.m. The fight and like the Champions Cup were both the prior day. So, we're at the bars watching sports all day, drinking it up. And we don't get rolling until like 7 a.m. Right. So we're about 2 hours behind schedule. I go to start the car after getting it loaded up, and the thing's not starting. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. We've got a 10-hour drive today. Car's not firing up. Same thing. Jumper cables don't work. Hotel guy comes over, gets us started up. And like, I totally have a freaking breakdown when that car doesn't start for the second time, because I thought it was just like a one-off thing. It doesn't start the second time. I'm in this parking lot at 7 a.m. dropping all sorts of bombs. I'm about to freaking kick a dent into this car. And guy comes out, hooks us up. We get started back up. We've got to stop at Enterprise, swap the thing out. We get a brand new Suzuki. All right, baby, now we're rolling. And sure enough, we make it all the way to the Caribbean side with our new 4x4. And that thing was smooth sailing the whole entire last week of the trip. So no issues with that last one. But it was pretty epic, man. Got to swim, got to surf, got to snorkel, got to hike 1,000,001 waterfalls, swam with some stingrays, surfed on both the Pacific coast and on the Caribbean side. It was just epic, man. Beautiful country. And you eat like royalty for absolutely nothing. I mean, all fish diet, maybe a little bit of pork, a little bit of steak, but fish every single day, whether it's fresh ceviche, entire snapper, entire tilapias, shellfish soup, lobster tails. And I mean, dude, you're talking 3 or 4 plates and you're walking out of there paying like $27. It's just unreal. And, a lobster tail that in Houston would probably cost $75 or $85, depending on where you're having it at. I mean, it's like $15 in Costa Rica. It's $22 in Costa Rica. It's just unreal.
It's so fresh too.
And it's every single thing is so fresh. The meat, the fish, it's all so fresh, never frozen, just caught up off the coast. Yeah. And seasoned, just fantastic. You eat at the little sodas, the local spots, and yeah, man. And we're into like the local experiences and doing everything. kind of how you're supposed to do it there in the country and really getting the whole cultural, authentic aspect of everything. And we absolutely did, aside from those 2 nights in Tamagringo. But it was just phenomenal, man. Enjoyed every single second of it. Got me a sweet bronze back here in Houston to kick off the summer, trying to keep that nice brown color all the way into football season, baby. So yeah, let me keep those beautiful golden rays on me and keep this good color on me. We'll see. So yeah. Oh, and the freaking coffee to die for, man. Holy cow. I drink coffee maybe 2 or 3 times a month here. I was drinking like 2 or 3 cups a day. Cafe con leche, espresso, cappuccino, mochaccino. Give it all to me, son. It was delicious. And came back and paid for it. Had some severe caffeine withdrawals these last few days, but I think we made it through the most of it, man. Yeah, but Costa Rica, Pura Vida, bro. I'm absolutely back. I will absolutely be back to the tasty coast.
Yeah, dude. It's such an underrated destination, especially for what you pay to not only get there, especially if you're going from Texas. Like it's really not that far.
No,
it's so affordable. So many people there speak English too, so it's not as intimidating as going somewhere that like you're gonna have to like really brush up on your Spanish or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's a great destination.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. Flights skip and hop. 3 hours and some change.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was practicar my Espanol. Clarissa's fluent, thankfully, so she's able to get us through. And I think you always get taken care of a little bit more whenever you do speak the local language. Yeah. So for sure, a little bit of that was going on, So yeah, it was just absolutely fantastic, man. There for two and a half weeks nearly. I mean, I could have stayed for 2.5 years. I mean, I could have been a permanent resident,
Yeah.
I was ready to just switch everything over. Absolutely.
Yeah. I actually had a cousin that I guess like immigrated to Costa Rica for a couple of years. So a lot of people
no kidding.
Yeah.
You end up doing pretty well out there.
I'm not sure. He's kind of reclusive. That's why he left Costa Rica. But he came back. So
very nice. Very nice. Yeah, it definitely was on my mind for a little while while we were out there for sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Well, cool. Before we transition to start talking UTSA football, baseball, maybe some other sports, depending on time. Of course, we want to say a big thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, especially after we essentially took a month off of producing much content at all. So really appreciate you guys for sticking around for that. I know it might have been a little bit frustrating, but we were working on our new website behind the scenes. And I guess it's the first podcast we've done since we did our beta test of the new website. So I feel good talking about it since the beta test went really, really well. Didn't have any major issues. So that's coming along really nicely. I mean, we're pretty much ready to launch a new site. Not many features left to be developed. So it's fantastic. Keep an eye out for that. It'll definitely be ready for football season, but it should be out sometime in the summer. If you want to get an early sneak peek at it, if you subscribe to, I think the booster tier on Patreon, you get access to the super top secret website if you want to check it out. And there's actually an exclusive article in there for our beta testers talking about Sincere McCormick's, NFL draft situation that he went through, ultimately ending up as an undrafted free agent for the Raiders, but took a bit of a tumultuous path to get there. So I thought it was a pretty good read. So yeah, if you guys sign up for the beta test, you'll see that, and then the full site will be coming very, very soon.
Ooh, that's it, baby. Yeah, we are ready to cut the ribbon. And
yeah, going big time.
Oh yeah, the grand opening, man, the huge unveiling. Yeah, it's been a tremendous effort.
Yep,
from Jared Thomas putting that thing together, man, and you guys are just going to absolutely love it.
Yep, and of course we couldn't. I mean, it is a big financial investment, relative to our budget. So
for sure,
couldn't do it without the financial support of our Patreon subscribers, as well as everyone that's helping out with the testing and feedback and all that good stuff. Special shout out to our new subscribers, Landon at the Insider tier and Ray Redding of Meet Me Apparel, who's joined us at the Board of Trustees tier. It's always a huge honor to get a new Board of Trustees member. And Ray's been crushing it with the caps at Meet Me Apparel. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to have in store for the football season. Definitely check out their website.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Ray Redding was the one that recognized us playing DJ Screw deep tracks way back in the day.
That was several years ago. Yeah.
On our intros, baby. Yeah. I'll never forget a fellow screwhead. Shout out Ray.
Excellent. Yeah, big shout out to Ray. Hopefully we'll be able to meet up with him soon here in Houston for some drinks. So Ray, hit us up. And of course, as always, thank you to our big money donors, Ben Tovar, Rick Cortez of Browdy Road Grillers, Zach Espedicueta, the San Antonio Podcast Network, as well as our Board of Trustees members, Digiteek, John Otwell, Lino Perez of Los Dos Ready Tailgating, and Gary and Ruben representing the UTSA Bird Gang Tailgate.
Big shout out.
So I think maybe the most timely story we can start things off here as we start talking a little UTSA football is something that I had a feeling was going to happen, but I wasn't sure.
Woof, woof.
And that's Jeff Traylor getting cover boy feature on the Dave Campbell Texas Football Magazine, the Bible of Texas high school football.
That's right. The first UTSA Roadrunner to be featured on the cover of the annual mag. And
I take offense to that statement. That's Larry Coker erasure, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah. Because he appeared on the 2012 summer edition. But this is
Coker was actually on the fall 2010 edition as well before UTSA football started.
Oh.
But it was like a thumbnail, so it's definitely not like the same level as Traylor getting like the feature, you know?
Sure.
But yeah, they ran a story on Coker and Francione at Texas State back in that 2010 season when UTSA had their practice year. It had a nice little article. I'll have to go back and read it. I have a copy of it as well as a digital archive. So that actually might be a good blog post for our new website.
That would be fantastic. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is so cool. And all of the intertwining storylines, a part of this is like the coolest part. Right. And if you've been following UTSA football closely over the past season, right, over the past year, you'll definitely be able to kind of catch on to a little bit of it. Right. And so Jeff Traylor shares a cover with none other than Texas Tech's Joey McGuire, who both come up through, you know, the high school football ranks into now being tremendous college football coaches. But we all remember the Texas Tech drama that occurred just a few months ago, last October, with Jeff Traylor. Quite literally, the deal was everything but signed, everything but done, baby. And so it's very, very interesting that it just so happens to be Texas Tech right alongside UTSA's Jeff Traylor on the cover. Very, very interesting. What was that like? Dave Campbell's Texas football not being able to decide between the two, given both their fair share of honor.
I don't know, man.
Texas Tech making sure that they got their credence. Like, no, this isn't going to happen. Maybe paid some dudes off underneath the table. What's going on, man?
You know, maybe I can see an argument that it's hard to do a G5 exclusive feature, on the cover of your magazine, right? I mean, I can see that aspect of it, but I think their two stories combined tell a more compelling story to the majority of the Dave Campbell reader base, which is like, you know, high school football fans, high school football coaches, high school football players, right? And they really went hard for the high school angle. That's why on the cover, like it's, I can't remember the name of the stadium. It's a legendary stadium in Brownwood, right? So I think it's more of like Texas high school football coaches are getting their shot at the Division I level for the first time, I guess, since Dodge at North Texas, and kind of selling that as a package deal, maybe in the hopes and suspicions that there'll be more former Texas high school football coaches in the near future that are going to get their shot to lead Division I programs. So that'd be really cool to see. But I mean, I can't deny it. It kind of feels like McGuire's inclusion is not quite as deserved as Traylor's. Because Traylor really broke the mold, right? And like, in my opinion, he's the reason why McGuire got that job at Tech. You know, so it's like, why not give Jeff his, you know, single, I guess, feature of just him on the cover? And I'm sure he doesn't give a crap about that. And like, I'm sure he loves that another former Texas high school football coach is on it. But I guess for me as a selfish UTSA fan, I'm like, what's Joey McGuire done to justify getting
literally
on the cover of this magazine?
Just got to Texas Tech, has not even done anything.
He's recruiting well. I'll give him credit, but I don't know. I just
hasn't coached the game yet.
Like, I'm not going to like scold anyone for having a bad taste in their mouth for that. Like, I get it, but I also do think that it makes a better story for Dave Campbell's. Of course, I have a lot of buddies that work there, right? So, I totally get where they're coming from. But it would have been sweet to just see Jeff by himself as like the standalone coach.
Absolutely.
And to have the photo taken at Gilmer High at Jeff Traylor Stadium, I think would have been even cooler. But
yeah,
I do appreciate the angle they went for, making it like all of Texas high school football coaches can take pride in these two guys.
Right. And here's two high school football coaches now coaching at the next level. But
yeah,
Traylor's, tried and true. He's proven his ability to coach at the next level, right? And we haven't quite seen that yet from Joey. I haven't got the opportunity to.
Sure.
And it does feel like Traylor's done enough to deserve that sole cover spot. But we won't harp too much on that.
No, that's fine. It's still awesome.
It's amazing. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And even more so on top of that, another tie to UTSA is Jeff Traylor's spread that he's going to have in there is written by none other than UTSA's very own Mike Craven.
Yeah, and I want to give a big shout out to Mike. He's been doing a Texas college football interview series on the Republic of Texas podcast. I've listened to almost all of them. They've all been fantastic. Like, Mike does such a great job of getting like, football coaches can be like pretty like reserved, kind of conservative guys, especially with the media. Mike does an awesome job of getting these guys to open up and kind of talk about their family life and their hobbies outside of football. So I've really appreciated getting that side. I mean, like Coach Traylor's always so open, and like we know his personality so well, but that's not the case with every coach in the state. So like I really appreciated that, especially he was able to get this really bizarre story out of SMU's new head coach. Oh gosh, I'm blanking. Red Lashley, about how he doesn't drink from straws. It was just like really weird, but it was really cool to see an interviewer be able to get like a cool, like kind of tidbit or even a weird tidbit like that out of a coach in a very like informal setting. I definitely recommend checking out that interview series for sure. Shout out to Mike, who's been a good long friend of not only myself, but also the podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he's had a feature. He's done features on Traylor throughout the season too, that were just fantastic, and if anyone's a guy that can get people to put their guard down a little bit, it's Mike for sure, So yeah, really, really, really cool. But Jeff Traylor, man. And so him being on the cover and, UTSA is sort of like demanding respect from everybody as this last season has gone on and as we enter the new season and into the AAC. But, what exactly is the significance of Traylor being on the cover of Dave Campbell Texas Football? Is it like a supreme validation of sorts?
It's a really good question. I hadn't really thought about it too much as far as like what it means for UTSA and for Jeff's legacy and all of that. I mean, it's certainly a massive honor, right? I mean, when you grow up obsessed with football in the state of Texas, like every boy that plays football dreams of seeing their name in that magazine. I know the first time that I was listed, like I felt like a celebrity, I was a backup left tackle, right? But I was like, oh my God, like this is real.
Who's the man now, baby?
Yeah, I'm the last 20 pages when you get down to like the private school section, it's like Dairy Queen ad, like a little blurb. Like I was like 2 letters and like a 50-word write-up about my school, but it just felt so important, right? So I know, Coach Traylor obviously probably has a very similar experience growing up in Texas as a football player and as a coach, right? So I think on a personal level, I think it means a whole lot for him, and it's a very well-deserved honor. Yeah. As far as big picture, I don't know. I mean, is it a big recruiting tool?
I think maybe not like a huge big one, but I do think, maybe the guys from like maybe more higher profile high schools are kind of interested in it kind of say, oh, wow, that's pretty sweet. Oh, that's UTSA. Like, they keep hearing UTSA, keep hearing Jeff Traylor, seeing Jeff. And now they see him on the cover and they're like, oh, damn, what's going on here? And now they read his feature and, all these great testimonials for so many players that have been underneath him. And yeah, I think it does do a little bit for us in that sense.
Maybe it's more marketing for the UTSA program in general than anything. I don't know if it's really going to get UTSA in a recruit's living room that they couldn't get into before.
Sure.
But, maybe the guy that's checking out at the HEB in Poteet, Texas notices, UTSA logo on that magazine as he's going through the checkout aisle.
Like that.
And, picks it up and he's like, oh man, this UTSA coach sounds awesome. Maybe I'll drive in to San Antonio for a game sometime this season. I can see that. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. College football fan in Texas, the middle-aged guy, older guy, and he pays attention to maybe all the blue bloods, but
sure,
he's heard this and that about UTSA, hasn't paid him too much mind. Now he pays a little bit more attention, right? Yeah. He reads that feature. Yeah, I like that. Sure. And I think there is a bit of a validation, sure, that comes with it. Like, if you weren't taking Traylor and UTSA seriously yet, hell, Dave Campbell's Texas football is. So you should be too. You better be.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. So to talk a little bit about the actual on-field football performance we're looking forward to seeing this coming September. So the last time that we talked on this podcast, we were really worried about UTSA's backfield. Just a rash of injuries. Sincere McCormick leaves early for the NFL. At first, it's like, it's going to be fine. There's a lot of talent there. The injuries start piling up, and it got pretty scary pretty fast. And in, what has been a month and a week or so since we last recorded, now it's looking like UTSA could have one of the best running back rooms in Conference USA. I mean, it really did a full 180 here. And I think probably the most reassuring change since the last time we recorded is that after many, many months of rumors and speculations, and I heard all kinds of different opinions or hints of what was going to happen or whatever. But Brenden Brady has formally announced in I think a 2-word statement on Twitter that he's back. He's going to run it back for a super senior season. Hopefully gets a chance to be the feature back that we've all been waiting for him to be. Obviously Sincere was just incredible and, you had to keep feeding on the ball. But man, when Brenden Brady was healthy, he was rushing the ball extremely well. He had a couple games throughout his career. Well, I guess I shouldn't talk in the past tense because, he's come back for another year. But he's already had a couple games throughout his career where he's shown that he is fully capable of being that primary tailback and kind of leading that offense, right? I mean, he's certainly talented enough to be a starting running back for almost any school in Conference USA. So to get him back and, without a spring of wear and tear on his body also, I think is big. So he should be in better shape than ever. And I'm hoping that he can stay healthy throughout the fall and really put up those big numbers that not only we know who he's capable of, but also, frankly, I think that he deserves as a person because he's just been an incredible teammate to the guys in the locker room throughout the last 4 years.
Well, and how about all of us who have kind of been sitting, waiting, wondering, what sort of damage Brady can really, really do when given opportunity with the Rock. I mean, finally, right here it is. And this is a guy who's waited for his moment. He's served his time. And now he really is going to have the reins, right, to himself. I mean, he is going to be the leader out the backfield. And I'm just freaking ecstatic to see finally what he's going to do with the Rock. I mean, I think it's going to be phenomenal, tremendous. And the damage that he's going to be doing to some defenses and the balance that he's going to bring to our offense. And, we talk about all the question marks that we've had about the backfield. I mean, this guy really, really answers all of them for me. I think it's just going to be awesome. I think he's been waiting to burst out and have his moment and showcase, right? And here it is, man. Here it is. So this is just awesome. It's been a long time coming for Brenden Brady. And I think he's just going to shine out there, man. I really, really is. He's a grown man now, right?
Yeah, for real.
Freaking
Owns a
fully
business.
developed, ready to go. Yeah, I mean, fully matured, and he's knows this offense like the back of his hand, and be familiar with pretty much all the guys out there. It's just going to be a match made in heaven. I really think so.
Yeah, thankfully he won't have to shoulder the whole workload by himself. Obviously Ty Edwards showed a lot of good stuff in the spring.
Yeah,
but a new addition via the transfer portal is really going to give that running back group a boost, and that is Treylon Smith. He's a transfer from Arkansas who was actually committed to TCU. I don't remember the exact timeline, if that was before Patterson left or if it was after they hired Dykes or not. I don't recall. But either way, to get a former Power 5 Big 12 commit to end up on your roster at a position of massive, massive need is a huge win for UTSA. And, it was interesting because I really looked like Smith was going to commit when he came to visit for the spring game, and it just never materialized. And I thought it was really weird because I thought that he had decommitted publicly from TCU. So I was just fully expecting him to commit to UTSA that weekend. So I'm not really sure what happened behind the scenes. If, he had to figure out if he was going to be academically, because, sometimes we do the grad transfer thing. Like you have to make sure they have to have a program at UTSA that they didn't have at Arkansas and all that kind of weird stuff. So I don't really know what happened behind the scenes, but to get him on board, I think it's a massive, massive win for UTSA. Honestly, I think it's been kind of underrated how much of an impact he's going to have on this offense. I really do think it kind of changed the equation at that running back position for UTSA going forward this year.
Yeah, and it's not like he was at Arkansas doing nothing. I mean,
No.
The guy played a hell of a lot of snaps, 23 games, 253 carries, 1,308 yards in the 2017-2018 season. Sat out 2019. Oh, I'm sorry. Sat out 2019 and the past two seasons, 23 games. And dude, I mean, the dude's got tons of experience. He's a Houston native. Mm-hmm. So I guess it was just sort of on his agenda to get back to Texas. But holy cow. I mean, it's a tremendous, tremendous addition. And a guy that right away is a tremendous impact, if you ask me.
Yeah, absolutely. My buddy Joe Broback, former colleague of mine at Underdog Dynasty, did a great video breakdown of Treylon Smith. If you Google, or if you search on YouTube for Treylon Smith, you should find it pop up there. And he kind of talks about, Sincere McCormick and his strengths and weaknesses and how it compares to Treylon Smith's strengths and weaknesses. It was a really great video. Great footage of Smith as well. You can really get a feel for his run game. Because Joe had the all 22 with the camera angle in the middle of the field. So you can really see how Treylon, reads his blocks and shows patience and has good bursts through the hole and stuff like that. And I think he's going to be a really nice compliment to Edwards and Brady because he's a lot shiftier. He doesn't have crazy top end speed. He's not a burner. And he's not going to overpower you like Brady and Edwards do a bit. He's much more I'm going to sit in the hole until the block develops, and then I'm just going to go get those 7-8 yards that are right there in front of me.
Like Jarvion Williams.
Exactly.
Patience.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think his run style out of all UTSA running backs is closest to Jarvion for sure.
Wow. Unbelievable. Yeah, he's going to be tremendous, man. Golly, it's huge. And so very well could see, him and Brady being the 1-2 punch, maybe splitting the workload. And man, this, like you said, going from all the question marks that we've had to do we even have a backfield to now maybe the most potent backfield duo in CUSA.
On paper, it looks crazy, right? You got a former All-American and Brenden Brady, high school All-American, I guess I should say. Get a JUCO All-American and Edwards, and then you got Treylon Smith, a guy who has put up numbers at the SEC level.
At the SEC level, yeah.
See, does he have any All-American anywhere? I don't know. He was a number 6 running back in the state of Texas in high school. So
I'll be damned. That's crazy. What high school did you go to in Houston? Cy Ridge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And he actually signed with Arizona State out of high school. I don't think we mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, he was Arizona State. And after 2 seasons, then he went to Arkansas, sat out 2019, and then 2020, 2021. I mean, absolutely just on fire. I mean, this is a guy who got a hell of a lot of snaps, hell of a lot of carries, and he did damage out there, man. Mm-hmm. Really, really good contributing out of the backfield. And yeah, he was a redshirt senior in 2021. So that COVID-19 waiver, boom, yep. 6th season of eligibility. Here he is, baby, at UTSA.
Yeah.
And so,
and then also think of, kind of like the player coaching and the maturity that Brady and Smith are going to bring to that really young position unit. Coaching up those guys that
both
are
seasoned veterans. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. D'Anthony Lewis, Kavorian Barnes, Meredith, all those guys, they're going to get some really, really good leadership from these senior players who have competed and succeeded at really high levels of play. So I think it's fantastic in that regard as well.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a bit of a segue to the next guy we're going to talk about as well, but it's really interesting how good of a job UTSA has done on not only getting Power 5 transfers to come from in the transfer portal to UTSA from these Power 5 schools, but they're guys that have legitimate contributions at these Power 5 schools. We talked about Treylon Smith, being a really good contributor at Arkansas, having a really nice 2 years there. They also picked up a defensive lineman, Joseph Evans, from LSU as well. Not a huge flashy name. He's not an all-conference guy or something like that, but he, again, played a lot of snaps at defensive tackle for LSU, and put up a pretty good number of tackles throughout his 3 years there. 28 tackles at the nose tackle positions, nothing to scoff at. 2.5 tackles for loss. And, those over the past 3 seasons, right? So it's not like he had a hot start to his career. It's been riding the bench ever since then. He's been, a real contributor to that defensive line for the Tigers.
Wow. That's a huge pickup. Absolutely massive.
Yeah, it's not really a position that I thought UTSA needed much help at, but you get a guy this caliber on the roster, you got to find a room for him and take it.
Yeah.
Man, you got him. You got Brenden Brown, obviously. And man, I am so out of mental podcasting shape. I keep forgetting so many people's names, man. Taking this month off is slowing me down, man. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's okay. We're beefy. We're beefy on the D-line. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh man. Who was the last newest tackle? I'm trying to remember. I'm scrolling through the roster. I'm panicking. The guy with the goggles.
Yep.
Lamont McDougall.
God. McDougall. Yeah, my guy. Freaking A.
That is one salty 3 deep right there.
Yeah.
You have 3 guys that size. You cycle them out. They all play, 20, 15 snaps. They stay fresh in that fourth quarter. It's going to make all the difference in at least 1 or 2 games this season. I feel confident saying that. Especially, when you're playing another G5 school and maybe they have a starting center, starting guard go down. And then you're putting a guy who's, started 10 games at the SEC at LSU against them, and he's fresh in the fourth quarter against your backup, maybe like a redshirt freshman or something. Dude, yeah. I mean, that's a huge benefit to take advantage of from just a talent perspective.
Yeah, and again, a lot of experience, a lot of seniority up there, a lot of size too. Just big old grown men.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's like 2 years in a row, UTSA is going to have one of the most experienced rosters in CUSA.
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess they're going to be missing a lot of experience on the back end of the defense. The outside linebacker position got hit really hard too. So they'll be near the top of the conference, I think.
For sure.
Yeah. And let's see. I don't think that Joseph Evans got a transfer grade from 24/7. But Traylon Smith did. He got a 0.89. So that's nearly a 4-star transfer that UTSA got there. Okay. And that was enough to put UTSA in first place in the Conference USA recruiting rankings.
Nice. Very nice.
I guess technically Marshall, who was number 1 until Smith transferred to UTSA, is actually no longer going to be a member of the conference in about a month or 2.
Sure.
So UTSA was, kind of bound to get the number one spot by process of elimination alone. So it's nice to see them actually get the bump for, the addition of a new commit versus the team just dropping off the rankings.
Yeah, we didn't rely on the default rankings, baby. We went and earned it the right way. Yeah, man, but doing damage in the portal.
Right. And of course, I had to go and compare with the future American Conference, right? With those Big 12 schools heading out. UTSA would be fourth in the new look AAC with their 2022 class. SMU's got a pretty good lead. Memphis is a little bit ahead, and then it's like pretty much a neck and neck tie with USF. So, they're looking ready to compete right off the bat. That's for sure.
Wow. Nice.
And it's not just the class of 2022 that is looking impressive. UTSA also picked up two really, really, really big commits for the class of 2023 since last time we recorded. Brings the class to 6 commits.
Victor Shaw and Tracy Revels.
Yeah, both guys I'm really high on. Both guys mid 3-star ratings from 24/7 already. Pretty impressive list of offers. A lot of Power 5 schools in the mix for both of them. I think both guys are kind of next level recruit for UTSA. These guys are definitely AAC talents. If we're comparing to, like guys at SMU, U of H, UCF, we're kind of bringing in, if you look back like, a year or two ago, these guys are certainly on that level. I think Revels is the best high school safety recruit that UTSA has recruited in the Jeff Traylor era.
Wow, nice.
And I know that sounds like a big statement, but you also got to keep in mind that they haven't really recruited a lot of high school safeties. Yeah, exactly. Right. So definitely shout out to Antonio Parks, former UTSA safety, who seems to be taking a recruiting rainmaker direction as a GA for UTSA, even though he can't, go out on the road and recruit guys in person. The recruiting has been doing at the safety position for UTSA has been pretty phenomenal. So I feel feeling pretty good about Antonio's coaching career once he's done with his GA for sure.
Both guys hail from Texarkana.
Yeah, that's true. Different schools. Yeah. Two powerhouses for sure.
Powerhouses. Yep. And Victor Shaw, defensive end.
Yeah, I'm not sure what position he's going to play at UTSA, because if you watch his junior highlight film, like he looks really good at tight end. He plays a little nose tackle. He plays a little defensive end. He plays a little outside linebacker. So it might be one of the situations where you wait and see how his body develops, like that summer heading into his freshman year of college.
He's 6'4", dude.
Yeah, and 260.
Right? Freaking tower. Yeah.
Moves along really well.
Oh, yeah. Beast.
Yeah, so he's a great athlete. I'm not sure where he's going to fit best, but this is a pretty good head-to-head win over Baylor, Colorado, Houston. So.
Yes. He's got an impressive offer list, man.
Tech, TCU, Nebraska. Man, that's impressive stuff for UTSA.
Yep. Impressive. Extremely impressive. Yeah, so huge 2023, shaping up pretty nicely.
I just read that Vic Shaw played left tackle as a sophomore.
That's nuts. Oh, you know what? It's right here in his highlight video.
Oh man, I only watched the junior one. I didn't see him playing at tackle on those. That's awesome.
For sure. Yeah. Holy cow. Man, that dude's freaking fluid, huh?
Yeah, seriously, he's a great athlete.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised he's not a basketball player.
Shaping out really nice, 2023. Shaping out real nice.
Yeah, the class of 23 already ranks 73rd in the nation, which is about on par with the 2022 class. But the 4 commits outside of Revels and Shaw don't have ratings from 24/7 yet. So if those guys come in with 3-star ratings, UTSA is going to jump pretty high up in that overall rank. So a lot of time to go for sure. But I'm liking where this class is standing at right now.
So on to baseball.
Yeah, man. Not the way I want to talk about baseball this time of year. Not the way I thought as we talk about baseball at this time of year.
And we shouldn't be so abysmal and dismal because it
I
was
know.
the most fantastic freaking season, the most fantastic tournament run. But you talk about taking your heart out, dude. Oh my gosh. That was brutal. Just brutal. Walk off Louisiana Tech on a walk-off base hit, wins the Conference USA championship game 9-8. After UTSA had ran the gauntlet against Southern Miss, absolutely crushed them. The host team in their home field.
Mm-hmm.
The last contest we will ever play with Southern Miss in any sport ever. And we freaking crushed them. And it was beautiful and it was glorious. We just ran out of horses there. And I mean, not even, we didn't run out of horses. It was a walk-off base hit. You know, we just didn't have that last at bat. Louisiana Tech did. And damn, it was tough, man. A really, really tough way to lose the CSA championship and what was the greatest Cinderella story, I think, probably UTSA sports history, man. It was so close. But it wasn't meant to be this season. We still have one more chance to win Conference USA as a baseball team, and maybe we do it next year. As long as we take care of Pat Hallmark, I think we'll have a chance.
Yeah, and I think that Hallmark's contract is like about to expire. Unless I missed a contract extension at some point, which definitely could have happened because we did catch that UTSA gave Traylor an extension before his new contract, and that wasn't announced at all. So there's definitely a chance that Hallmark could have got like a 1-year COVID extension added back onto his current contract. I don't know. But given the success that he's had, I think it's clear that UTSA is going to have to make an increased investment in this baseball program to keep Hallmark. I know the Baylor job is open right now. Obviously, that one would be a great job for Hallmark. That'd be hard to turn down if they offer him. And man, I mean, he's shown that he's earned it. Not only is he getting results on the field, but he seems like a great leader. Like his kids are really bought into his program, you know, just like we see with Coach Traylor. And I think we're seeing with Coach Aston and women's basketball as well, that they're just kind of raising the culture of the whole athletics program. Absolutely. And they all support each other and all of that is super cool. So I really hope that UTSA can reward Hallmark for his success. You know, even though they didn't reach their real goals of winning the conference and getting an at-large bid or an automatic bid into an NCAA regional tournament, I think it was very well deserved. They were right on that threshold to get that at-large bid. I mean, they weren't the first 4 out. They were probably 5 or 6, you know, so really came down, you know, just a couple hits here or there, you know, one way or the other. You know, is probably what kept them out of getting into their first NCAA regional tournament, at least as an at-large, you know. So definitely great things on the horizon. We saw a lot of young players really start to emerge. You know, Chase King had a great year. The Brenden, the freshman pitcher, I can't remember his last name right now, but he's looking like he has the arm talent to be, you know, a future ace for this team. Luke Malone's got another year that he'll be able to use. There's a couple of the seniors that have that extra year they're going to be able to utilize as well. So they are losing some pretty good players for sure. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be able to run it back and get that Conference USA championship that's kind of eluded them throughout UTSA's time at the conference before they head out for good to the.
You know, it was a completely unprecedented run this year, you know, and are absolutely by a long shot the best we've ever played in Conference USA.
Dude, I can't get over the fact they won 11 games against ranked opponents this year. That's so wild. I mean, I grew up in an era of UTSA fandom when like to even play against a ranked team was incredible.
It was a huge deal. Yeah,
exactly. It was a really like rare occurrence. And now not only do we see UTSA in multiple sports, you know, compete with ranked teams, but, you know, this baseball program is just out there handing it to them.
Running the table, man. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, this team went 38-20 overall, 19-11 in CUSA. Our absolute best performance in CUSA. Mm-hmm. And it was completely unprecedented run, not just in the tournament, but the entire regular season, and we were just one win shy of a school record as far as wins are concerned. The most we've won is 39 in 2008, and that's the Southland. And one more time, way before that, 1994. So it's absolutely a historic season for UTSA. And I think, as you've just alluded with the ranked opponents, probably the best we've done in the hardest schedule, right? I mean, I think it's very, very easy to say this is the best baseball team UTSA has ever had in school history.
Yeah, if you look at the RPI, strength of schedule, all that stuff, I doubt it's even close. I know that some of those earlier teams,
for sure,
got into the regionals and won conference tournaments and all that stuff. But from a week in, week out, game in, game out perspective, statistically, I think this is for sure the best team in program history. And, they still don't even have the facilities they need. They're using the same facilities that those teams had back in 2008 and 2013 or whatever it was that UTSA was at the Southland or the WAC. I can't remember where they got into that regional. They played Oregon State, but just goes to show how much potential there is with this program. And, we say it all the time, but for return on investment, I think if UTSA were to pour, a couple $1 million in baseball, I think they would see dividends for that pretty quickly. And I think it would really rack up. Just look at what Texas State's doing up the road in St. Marcus. They've got a nice stadium. They got great coaching staff, all the games on ESPN, all that good stuff. And they just missed going to a super regional by like one run, I think. So obviously doing some great stuff there, and they get a lot of exposure on social media for all their antics. So I appreciate the Bobcats for that. I'm glad they're having fun out there and living a true San Marcos lifestyle.
No, but I mean, it's true. It's tremendous. And we talk about the AAC, and, it's not just football going to the AAC. It's the whole entire athletics department and every team that we have. And baseball is just proving that, we've got the potential to compete at the highest level of Conference USA and to enter the AAC and be a competitive team, even in that conference where the competition is really going to beef up levels. And so, this team is absolutely on the right track, and huge credit to all the guys on the roster, huge credit to Hallmark and everything that he's done. 11-4 against ranked opponents, 9-3 against top 25. And I think the most impressive thing is how he fared at the Bird Bath. 21-6 at home, freaking 7.78 winning percentage right here at home. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is a team that got some votes out there. Rank UTSA, hashtag, right? And the only 500 strikeout season in school history. Struck out 519 batters on the year. Yeah. Tied the single season record for 467 runs scored. Most since 2008. Pretty impressive. And man, there's so many players to shout out, which did a good job of announcing. But a couple of the awards, we had 4 players earn all CUSA honors. Luke Malone, Leighton Berry, Jonathan Tapia, and all freshman team, Matt King. Weekly CUSA honors, Chase King and Daniel Schaefer as well. Mm-hmm. And then the CUSA all tournament team, Ryan Flores, Chase King, Garrett Poston, and Luke Malone as well.
Ian Bailey had an amazing season as well.
Ian Bailey had a tremendous season. Yes, Ian Bailey cracked 16 homers on the year. The most any player's had since 2010.
Wow, that's an incredible stat.
Yep.
Wow.
Scored 60 runs, recorded 140 total bases, finishes his UTSA career with a .560 slugging percentage. 8th highest in school history.
Yeah.
Impressive. Yeah.
Well done. Well, just to wrap things up, you got to end on a bittersweet note. And that's, to me, was the shocking news that UTSA men's golf head coach John Knauer is retiring from the coaching profession. That came out of left field for me. I think that he had just signed a new contract like last year.
Wow. I'll be damned.
And, we've been talking on this podcast a bit, and not only in this episode, but in previous ones for like the past year or so, how much UTSA athletics has really like leveled up over, I guess the past decade, past 5 years, depending on what program you're looking at. There's an argument to be made that men's golf kind of led the charge on all of that.
For sure. Absolutely. For sure. Yeah.
In a period where it was like all you could depend upon at UTSA was success from the track and field program, men's golf quietly was getting better and better every year. And then they got to the point under Coach Knauer that they were a top 50 program year in, year out for, it seemed like for at least 5 years, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, men's golf doesn't get all the headlines. We try to cover it as much as we can on the podcast, but, there's not as much news that comes out. There's very few meets that are played and all that good stuff. But men's golf has been really, really, really strong the past few years, and women's golf is right there with them. So Coach Knauer, well done, sir. You did an amazing job at UTSA. We were just talking about how, these other UTSA coaches are all supporting each other and like kind of raising the program as a whole. I think Coach Knauer led the charge for that even before like this kind of era of UTSA athletics came around, because he was a hardcore Roadrunner football fan. He was always out there live tweeting the games, and, his guys were there each week supporting the team in the Alamodome. So that was great to see. And, just great guy, great success, did a lot for UTSA, and hope he really enjoys his well-deserved retirement after having an amazing coaching career at UTSA.
Oh yeah, man. 14 seasons at the helm.
Yeah, he was the for sure longest tenured UTSA athletics employee. I wouldn't even say coach; might just be employee.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just incredible. And yeah, and you talk about the quiet rise year over year of men's golf, right? Just slowly, steadily, but surely getting better and better. And then this year, it wasn't so quiet anymore. This year they were all over the place. At one point we were ranked number 26 in the nation, and went to the NCAA postseason for the first time as a team. And it was just huge. And it seemed like every time I got on goutsa.com, there was another headline about men's golf. And, it's all credit to Knauer, man. Just unbelievable. So yeah, you got to let him ride off into the sunset. Maybe that was the goal he always had, was to get into that NCAA postseason.
Who knows? Maybe.
Right. And he was finally able to scratch that off the list, whatever it was. We absolutely salute him as he rides off into retirement, man. Tremendous job. I
think this job is going to be extremely attractive to, other head coaches and assistant coaches out there across the nation. You just look at the success of the program, both men's and women's. Just got a new facility, opened up at TPC San Antonio. That's going to be the home base for UTSA golf, not only practicing in the TPC, but also having study rooms and team rooms and stuff like that. Really going to put UTSA where they need to be facility-wise with the rest of the American Conference. And it's just a great courses in San Antonio. It's a great place to be. So I'm super excited to see who they're going to be able to hire. I feel like they could go poach someone from like a really well-known program, really successful school, and someone who's kind of looking to make a name for themselves as a head coach, maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that'll be the thing to watch. Right? Coaching search is on. Men's golf. Let's see it. Lisa Campos has knocked every single other one out of the park.
That's right. Even the Hallmark hire, I was a little lukewarm on. I was like, hey, URW coach, like he seems okay, but so maybe pulling in some Power 5 hot shot. Sure enough, man, Hallmarkers are crushing it.
That's right.
So you got to trust in Dr. Compost, man. Gonna get it done.
Absolutely will.
All right, man. Well, I was a little rusty on this podcast. That's why, your podcast is like a muscle. Like you got to keep exercising, keep it strong. So we're going to keep it going throughout the summer. I don't think we have any other major vacations planned. I don't know.
No major ones, at least for a few months. Yeah. Talk about exercise and muscles, man. Golly. I haven't done any exercise since way before the wedding.
Yeah, it's time for me to pick it back up as well. My wedding is not too far out, so
that's right.
Time to get back on the horse. But yeah, like we said, you guys keep your eyes peeled for the new website that we'll be launching soon. Got a couple of different interview ideas that we're floating around, and we're definitely due for some Patreon episodes as well. So thank you guys for your support, and we'll be back. Oh gosh, sports season's over for UTSA, so it's hard to say when we'll have enough material for the next podcast. But stay tuned. We're getting a lot of big stuff coming for you guys, and of course, we're really excited for football season, which is going to be here before we all know it.
That's right.